had a website, but it was almost like a vanity project back then. Now it is like an entrance fee to have a business.
Good. Hey, I wanted to let you know that the Google guarantee, the Google ads, man, I'm getting 12 to 16 calls a week.
My goal is at least do 10 to 15 more years, grow it up, sell it for 40, 50 million, maybe more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Titan Talks. My name is Jonathan Stern. I'm an engineer at Topline Pro, but once a week I have the honor of sitting down with successful home service entrepreneurs to discuss their journeys to success. Today is March 4th, 2024, and my guest is Joe Hennessey, owner of Hennessey Landscaping, a top lawn care and landscaping company in Southwest Connecticut. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Joe, and welcome to Titan Talks.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Would love to hear how you got started in landscaping. Maybe walk us through an origin story.
Yeah, kind of the same as probably everybody else. Like, you start young, kind of the push mower and Nate family member driving you around from lawn to lawn. It kind of started, I grew up on a cul-de-sac. It's kind of like a terrace, few houses in the middle. And I don't know where I got the itch to want to cut grass or do snow. And, probably around when I was 12 or 13, I think it kind of hit off. And, my neighbor ended up giving me a trailer to use and, kind of just carted around the neighborhood. And my father had it's like an older from the 60s or 70s Cub Cadet tractor with a snowplow on the front. And I don't know, we probably had, 10 to 12 neighbors in our neighborhood. And, kind of just went door to door with them. We were all familiar with them. We all grew up together. Just kind of started snowplowing one person's driveway, went to the next. My great aunt lives on my parents' road, so I ended up doing them. And I did that. And then, kind of grew up, picked up a few lawns to do on the weekends, and then kind of dwindled the passion for it after a little while. Went to school. Wasn't really what I wanted to do. It was kind of just, make a couple bucks as a kid. And, I wasn't in it for the money at the time because, in the beginning, it's like the whole snowstorm. I'm outside, working, plowing driveways for 10, 15 hours for 20 bucks. And, it didn't really matter if it was 20 bucks or, I just like being out there so much. So yeah, the money, my neighbors, here's a $20 bill and, kind of went from there, dwindled off, and then, back at it after college. So.
Did I hear that correctly, that you enjoy being out there in the snowstorms?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
And
I don't know why, but
and you were 12, 13 years old when you were going around the neighborhood. Is that right?
Yep. Correct.
How many years did you do that for?
Let's see, probably up until I was 15 or 16. And that's kind of, I got my license and was cutting a couple lawns here and there, but, didn't really want to do this for a living. So it was kind of just a, after school type of thing. And I worked at a supermarket when I was 15 or 16 as well. So, after work there or whatever, I'd go out, cut a couple lawns, and, that was kind of it, to make a couple dollars.
So when did it dawn on you then that this was going to be a full-time thing?
So when I originally applied for schools, I wanted to go into the FBI, and I didn't end up getting into the school I wanted to go to. So I went to a different school in the same city, but didn't really know what I wanted to do in the beginning. And then I ended up majoring in business management, and I worked for my dad's neighbor at the time. We were doing carpentry as kind of like a summer job too. And, he wasn't the best to work for, real great guy, like grew up with him my whole life, but when it came to work, you know, I kind of saw what went on as like a boss. And I originally, talked to him and wanted to buy that business out from him or kind of take it over after high school instead of going to school. But
Hmm.
didn't really work out. And, we would work in condo complexes and stuff like that. And yeah, I always remember seeing like the landscapers coming in and they were taking care of the maintenance at these condos. And, it was almost like I had a better eye and interest in what they were doing than what I was doing, painting and, fixing soffits on garages and stuff like that and buildings. And yeah, I'd probably say like around then it kind of, watching those guys do it kind of got the itch for it. And then, yeah, went to college and, kind of started picking up a few more lawns. I lived at school, but it was only, I don't know, not even 30 minutes from where I lived. So I would come home on the weekends or I didn't have class on Friday. So I come home and cut grass all weekend.
Given that you enjoyed the carpentry and the painting and the other stuff, why not open up a painting company? Why start with landscaping?
I don't want to say my neighbor kind of ruined it for me at the time,
That's
but it wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't like the best environment. I did enjoy doing it, but you know, I don't know. I only worked for him for like one summer, but I lost the interest with it. I had more interest in landscaping than that. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. After a while, doing the carpentry, it kind of got old. Like even now, I can't stand painting. Even at my house, just I had to paint 2 bedrooms upstairs, and you know, hated every bit of it. So
So
not a
what
big
year
fan.
was it that what year was it that you officially got going, Joe, with
um,
Hennessey Landscaping?
so I opened the LLC and right when I got out of college. So that was 2019. So this would be my 5th year. Um, and I was in the beginning before I opened my LLC, I was trying to buy another company out in a surrounding town for me and tried it for a couple months and it turned into a disaster really fast. And, I kind of, luckily I had a good friend of mine that was taking care of my accounts at the time I only had like 15 lawns I did. So he took care of those just in case, it didn't work out trying to buy this out. I couldn't juggle both at the same time either. And, I wanted it so bad too, like, just to jump in and have, 80 accounts right off the bat. But, you know, if anybody wants to do it or is thinking about trying to buy accounts from somebody, especially just lawns, I don't recommend it. Never really works out how you think it is. And unfortunately I learned that the hard way. No money lost or anything like that, but
Good.
It wasn't a good time. So
You've been at it for 5 years now. I imagine the early days were hard in certain respects. Take us through your trajectory as a business, any challenges that you faced that you've overcome and what you've learned over the last 5 years.
yeah, so in the beginning, the town I grew up in, there weren't so many guys doing it at the time. And so, I had some pretty good luck right off the jump, but the problem in my town was that, it was a bunch of small properties and, everybody wanted the lawn cut, but like nobody wanted anything else done, whether it was mulch, cleanups, and it's like, if they did, you give them a price and it's like, oh my God, I'll just do it myself. And a lot of these houses didn't really have, too much landscaping to take care of, maybe a yard or two of mulch and, the customers, we'll just do it ourselves. But, and then I ended up moving. I grew up in Ansonia my whole life. And then I ended up moving with my girlfriend to a few towns over. And, even when I was still living at home, I felt like 6 days a week working and, almost couldn't take the leap to bring on a second guy either. I had one full-time guy and, kind of ran into the problem where we were busy 6 days a week in the mowing season. But when it came, fall time, I couldn't keep anybody busy. So I ended up making like a pretty risky judgment call and decided to try out like different towns and areas, and I completely got rid of the 60 something accounts that I had in the town that I grew up, other
Wow.
than like some of the commercial accounts I had. And I just felt like I wasn't growing at the time either, like especially living at home. I didn't really have too many personal expenses, and yeah, glad I took the leap now, because it was almost like I was doing more money with a quarter of the accounts, from what I originally was doing. And yeah, so definitely a lot happier now. And it's a good business. You just have to, you got to pick the right clients. And I rather have, almost 10 clients that, whatever, for example, pay me $10,000 a year, nice big properties, compared to 60 clients that only spend, whatever the mowing is, 1,000, $1,500 for the year.
Did you have a mentor suggest that you may want to expand outside of your town? Was this your idea?
No, this is my idea. Just kind of talk to a few friends and talk to my dad about it a lot. And, he doesn't really know too much about like my industry. He's a union electrician. And, so yeah, I mean, even my girlfriend, she kind of scared her a little bit, because, we were living together. And, it's kind of like, all right, well, if you do this, you have bills and bills and bills. And, it was scary in the beginning, because that was, before I got hooked up with you guys too. I only really advertised on like Facebook. I would do some paper flyers, but, that was probably, unfortunately, the year I got rid of all the accounts. That spring, summer, fall, that was probably the slowest year I've ever had too. So it was pretty scary. And after that, I tried doing my own Google ads, and I kind of spent the winter in the off season making my own website. And, the Google ads are tough. I spent a lot of time researching how to do them and how to set them up, but, I couldn't dial them in right. And it was just, it was extremely confusing to do. But, yeah, so glad I found you guys.
Well, so Joe, after making this massive change, leaving your hometown, you had your slowest couple of seasons on record. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Why did you stick with that strategy?
Oh, and it was so slow. Like, I didn't even have a full-time guy with me. My full-time guy the year prior ended up leaving kind of in July, August time. So I finished the entire year out like by myself, and you know, it sucked. And, moving into the next year, it was kind of like I looked at kind of the numbers of, you know, what I paid out to have him, on top of, I didn't have a truck payment at the time. I didn't have a mower payment. Um, yeah. And it was almost like there was no money, to try to expand. And I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't fun, but I don't
But
know, to stick on the strategy. I don't know. I mean, I always believe in myself. I've never, you know, I wouldn't say I haven't failed, but, if I put my mind to it, it's kind of, I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. So it's, you know, I made the decision to, get a website built and invest in advertising, and, talking to a bunch of other guys that, I built relationships with over the years in the same industry. And, that's kind of the way that it's going, is, digital marketing and all that. And yeah, ever since I did the Google ads with you guys, and yeah, that kept me busy last year. And that was even with a small budget on it too. That was like a starter budget. So
when you finally did turn the corner, because I know business is doing much better today, what was it? You said digital marketing, you said getting a website, but take us through. You're just coming out of the slowest couple of seasons on record. You said you didn't have a website at that point.
right now,
What what helped you turn the corner?
a good friend of mine that I talk to almost daily, he was kind of in the same boat too. And it's funny, I met him because the business I was trying to buy, didn't work out with me, and he ended up buying that business 2 days after I ended up pulling the plug on the whole thing.
Wow.
And
Oh,
you know, unfortunately for him, it didn't end up working out. And I mean, he had a ton of accounts at the time. I think he bought another business out too, and it kind of went south. But I mean, he was in the same boat too, and we talk on the phone all the time, and just looking on Instagram and Facebook and all that, and we're looking at all these other guys making moves, and we're sitting here, and it's like he was having the slowest year ever too. And I kind of just looked at him. I'm like, I got to do something, because either if I don't do something, I'm gonna have to just pull the plug on the whole thing and find something else to do. And um, that was probably what I think. I try not to like compare myself to other people, but I think like looking at some of these other guys and like what they have, and it's kind of like, all right, how'd you do it? Like, how do you get to that step? And I knew if I gave up on it, I'd be kicking myself down the road.
yep.
Because I don't want to just be like the one truck operation. I want to grow and grow and grow and be one of these, multi-million dollar, corporations. That's kind of the goal, you know. But I think the digital marketing definitely was the turning point. I did do a lot of flyers too, and it was hard trying to get into a town where nobody knows who you are. I didn't grow up there. I don't have connections there. It's just I kind of like the area.
Yep.
And even towns beyond that too, like the town past the town I do most of my work in, just driving around the town. I don't know, really anything about it, the direction of the town. So it's kind of like I kind of like map out neighborhoods on Google, and I would, pick out what the nice neighborhoods were and go there and throw flyers out and see what would happen. And, I was starting to not see a great return on the flyers.
Hmm.
And what I would do was I got in trouble by City Hall in the town I was in because I put a flyer in a mailbox. And, at the time I didn't know, but that's a no near us. So I was like, all right, what's a quicker, efficient way instead of like door knocking, which I don't like the door knocking idea, because I don't know, just walking onto somebody's property, I don't know. If I know when someone comes to my house, I'm like, all right, I don't really, not interested.
No, thank
So
you.
yeah,
Maybe next door. Sure.
yeah, maybe next door, or you see them, you don't open the door. But so the flyers, I was like, what's a quicker way to do it without having a door knock, walk around neighborhoods? Because just to walk around one neighborhood and maybe slap, I know you could put a flyer on the outside of the mailbox, but so I came up with a way, put a flyer in like a gallon Ziploc bag and got like a handful of loose stone, and then put a business card in there as well. And basically I get a big like grocery bag, like one of the reusable bags, put them in the passenger seat, and go by and kind of throw them out the passenger window and driveways like newspapers. And yeah, I mean, that worked for a while. I tried it again last year, and usually I'll do it like around this time coming into spring, but I didn't really get the return I wanted either. And, they take a good amount of time and effort and money to put together. And, then I did them like 2 or 3 years in a row, but you kind of forget I'm not like mapping out what neighborhoods I went to already. So even if I kind of spread them out a couple months apart, I might have already hit an entire neighborhood and, not even realized it. But, yeah.
I want to get straight, Joe. You had big Ziploc bags.
Yep. Gallons.
Inside of which you put business cards, flyers, and then some pebbles or stones so that when you threw it out of the window, it wouldn't blow away.
Right. Correct.
How many of these did you make?
Oh man, in 3 or 4 years, I probably made over like 2,000 to 3,000 of them. And they take a good bit to make too, because you figure like,
Yeah.
I would buy the gallon Ziploc bags from like the dollar store just because they were cheaper. And I like the ones like with the nice pull zipper on them. But the problem is when you buy those, they're all zip shut already. So you got to go through every single bag and unzip all of them. And then, the stone makes a mess too. So it's like I'm in my house. It's all over the floor, because it's all dusty. And I would just buy like a 50-pound bag of loose pebbles from Home Depot. And yeah, kind of went from there, and it was a cool idea. You know, I'd love to keep doing it, but it's just, I don't know. I wish I saw more of a return on it, but I've even had people call me and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got your flyer from, 3 years ago that you threw in our driveway," which is pretty cool. People do hang on to it. And, this is my whole thing. Like, I know a lot of guys do the mail in stuff too, but my thing is like, I like to kind of pick and choose the areas I work in. So like if you blast it out to a zip code, it might be sending your flyer advertisement into a house you might not even, want to service is the problem. So yeah.
Well, on that note, I should say one of the most fascinating growth, I don't know if you call it a guerrilla growth tactic or what. One of the most fascinating marketing tactics I think we've
Yeah.
heard on this this is episode 33, I believe.
Wow.
Really, really neat strategy. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. Let's turn
Oh,
to
of course.
let's turn to business today. You said your aspirations are to be multi-truck, multi-million, big time landscaping company in Connecticut. Curious, how many trucks do you have? How many employees do you have? And how are things shaping up for the spring?
All right. So I just bought my second truck this year, actually, a couple months ago. I got a couple bigger snow accounts and needed another truck, and ended up getting it off of my father's neighbor. He's had the truck for years. And he was like, "Yeah, I got to get rid of it. Make me an offer." And, got that all set up. And I had one employee last year. I'll have potentially three this year. So I'm not like, the 10, 15 guy, but,
Not yet,
you know,
but
not
you're,
yet. Yeah.
yeah,
We're moving. I mean, it's a tough time, finding help too. So it's, it hasn't been too easy, but, that was my whole thing. Like, how do you go about hiring another guy without, you need the help, but at times you don't need the help. So how do you keep, you know, three guys busy plus myself rolling, 5, 6 days a week year round. And, yeah, and I got my first shop this year. So I moved in there right before Christmas. So that was like a big milestone right there. Scary milestone, but, you know, I was just running out of room. And after getting the second truck, I mean, I had stuff everywhere at my house, and I don't like leaving too much stuff at my house just because I live on the main road. Um,
Hmm.
but, you know, all my stuff was basically at my dad's house, and, kind of didn't want that anymore. He didn't really care, but, it's just getting to a point where it's like, all right, I have two trailers, two trucks, they're on the street, snow plows, his garage was stuffed with my stuff, it was getting to be too much.
yeah,
And
time to find your own place. Yeah.
yeah. So, and around me there's not a lot of spaces for rent either. So I mean, it definitely took a while to find a spot, and then the opportunity came, and I was a little hesitant at first, and I was like, you know what, just do it, see what happens. What's the worst that's gonna happen? I gotta move out, figure it out. But yeah, um, yeah, two trucks, two trailers. I just bought a tractor actually last week, so that was another big purchase.
That is
Yeah, so
that's a massive purchase.
yeah,
Where'd you go to find the tractor?
so it's a local power equipment dealer that I go to about a town over from me in Bethany. And yeah, it's funny, they're running like rebates and deals on kind of the leftover models, and I had my eye on this one with the full cab and everything, heat, air conditioning, and had my eye on it for like a while, and it was still sitting there. And I walked in there yeah, last week, and the salesman there is like, "Oh, you still looking at that?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, let me tell you like what the deal is on the leftover model." So I was like, "All right, I'll hear you out." Yeah, it ended up being like $6,000 or $7,000 off of that model. And a friend of mine had
Oh.
the tractor I bought's a Coyote, and a good friend of mine, Luke, he had a Kubota on order without a cab. And, I kind of, second I left the dealership with the printout, I called him and I'm like, hey, like, this is a deal that they're running. They have what you're looking for right in front of mine. And he's like, all right, if you don't mind, go inside and get the printout copy. And I ended up getting him the printout. And yeah, the price was like 10 grand lower than what the Kubota he had on order was. Yeah, and I hear he's getting in his truck. He's like, I'm coming right now. I'm buying it. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'll go with you. And we both bought them at the same time, which was pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of investments this year, but hopefully it pays off. So we'll see.
Is that gonna allow you to take on more expensive jobs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And even for snow wise too, I got it. The couple bigger accounts I got this year, just the front sidewalks, the city sidewalks, use it for that. Just simple stuff down to like taking sanders out of the trucks, having a machine, loading salt into the trucks. Just really doing just moving stuff around at the shop. Now that I have the space, I'm going to get into firewood again. I used to do firewood, but never really had the space for it. So I kind of bought the tractor primarily to do that as well. So, trying to make it like a year round machine and, trying to figure out what the best machine for me would be. And,
Cool.
hopefully it's not the last machine, but
I can't imagine it is. You said
no,
you said that as you grow the number of employees at the company, one of the challenges is keeping them busy. How many jobs do you have on the schedule, and where did they come from?
so we just started the Google ad. I kind of shut them off for the winter just because I was kind of maxed out with what I could do this year for snow. And, I had a patio job come in today. I have a brush clearing job to do next week. And then kind of right after that, another one came in today from you guys. So that's the patio came in from you guys off the website, and, another like brush clearing job too. And I'm going to end up doing the local service ads too. Nick recommended for that. So I applied and did all the paperwork and whatnot. And that's pretty extensive doing that. They want a background check on your business. They want proof of insurance, licensing number. So yeah, I mean, I think, I feel like word of mouth isn't enough. I haven't, I mean, people know my last name, but word of mouth to me, isn't enough to sustain, building and building. So I think, even Facebook, I don't really have like great luck off Facebook. I don't know why. I mean, I ran an ad campaign on there. I've done multiple boosted posts.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people swear by Facebook, but it's not, has been a great tool for me, unless some of these jobs that I'm getting, people are seeing it on Facebook. I'm not sure, but I haven't heard too much.
For you though, it's been website and then pairing that with Google ads. That's been the ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
What would you say to a home service professional who may be skeptical about getting a website or doing any form of digital marketing? I mean, you hear it so often. It's, people say,
Yeah.
word of mouth is everything. Why do I need a website? What?
Right.
How do you respond to someone like that?
I think maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, it was Craigslist, even the bargain news, like I remember my dad, posting the bargain news. I'm like, I don't know anybody that's reading the bargain news anymore. Even Craigslist isn't, a big thing anymore, but the more and more I was like seeing, website links for people's companies, like to me, it just looks more professional. And I almost rather them go to that and submit a booking request with all the information and everything than call me. It's just easier, because I could shoot them a text back quick, schedule a phone call, kind of see what the job is and, get a gist for it before I even talk to them on the phone. Yeah, I mean, if you want to grow and scale, I would definitely recommend getting a website. It's in this day and age, I think digital marketing is taking over. And unfortunately, I feel like some of the guys that have been at it for 30, 40 years, you know, they don't know a whole lot about the digital marketing. And I feel like a lot of these, at least the guys I follow, like some of these guys I see that are my age,
Hmm.
you know, I think they're going to start to run a lot of these older guys over, if, you know, with our tools at hand, unfortunately. But, you know, that's just the way it is now. You know, people want to go on Google, type in landscape company, they see the first one, that's who they're going to go to. You know, that's just the way it is. I know that's how I am when I'm looking for something. Go on Google, hey, there's the first one, you know. And that's the thing, you got to get to the top too on Google, because, you know, no one's scrolling 4 or 5 pages in and, you know, calling 30 different people. You know, they're probably going to pick the top 5, I would assume. So
Yeah. I think we're all taking the path of least resistance. Landscaper near me. Whoever
right.
comes up, whoever comes up first, that's who I'm calling. Yep.
Right. Yep. Exactly. You know, that's just the way it's headed. So, you know, it's digital everything now. Everything is digital. And you know, even on my business cards, I do the QR code on there now, you know, just so,
Oh, nice.
hey, you
Yeah.
give somebody a business card, they scan it, and I think it takes them to either my Facebook page or the website, just so that they could see, you know, the pictures on there and any other information that they want. So yeah.
What is the breakdown between commercial and residential properties these days, Joe?
For me, so let's see. For snow wise, I probably do like 8 commercial. 2 of them are bigger. They're churches and schools. And then the other ones are like a very nice library. A couple other just smaller businesses. Kind of love to get into like condos, but though I don't know, they're a hit or miss. You know, some guys say stay the hell away from them, you know, and then other guys are like, you know, that's where all the money is. But I don't know. Like, I still do like doing residential. I remember I wanted to commit fully to only commercial, but, you know, around me, there's not a lot of it is the problem. You know, it all kind of depends on your area, because, you know, a couple guys I follow, it's like they blew up and they're doing, you know, multiple HOAs, but unfortunately, like, we don't have that where I am. So it's, you know, and if you do find one, chances are it's already accounted for. You know, you can bid on it, but it's, you know, it's a tough game. You know, I kind of rather almost like shoot after the industrial or, you know, smaller commercial stuff like that and deal with direct. You know, I don't like dealing with management companies or anything like that either. So, you know, all those bigger like Walmarts, you know, you guys can have them. I have no interest in doing them. So yeah, I don't know. The plan this year is to definitely build up the residential list too. um you know, and what I kind of started to do too, you know, because obviously commercial contracts are great, you know, year-round money. But even with the residentials, and I've actually had people ask me to do it, but like I've introduced 12-month residential contracts too. So it's, you know, same basis. Even if I don't do snow there, a lot of these people, they still opt to do like the 12-month. You know, it's nice in the wintertime because, you know, the more I'm starting to, after I moved out of my parents, that's when I started to realize like, hey, I need consistent money coming in, you know, throughout the winter, because it's just, the bigger the bills, you know, it's kind of tough to save that money and prepare for the winter too. It's, you know, it's not easy in this economy, at least.
At Titan Talks, we like to close with a rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
What's your personal goal, Joe? You mentioned business goals of multi-million revenue, many trucks. What's your personal goal?
Personal goal to have a happy life and build a family with my girlfriend and our 3 dogs and cat that we have right now.
Beautiful. What's the biggest mistake you've made? What'd you learn as a result?
Believe it or not, I hate to say it, but majoring in business management, at least at the school I went to, because I'm glad I have the degree, but I've learned more doing my own research and talking to other guys in the industry than I did at 3.5 years going to college. So glad I did it, but at the same time, I would have loved to see where I'd be business wise if I didn't take a 4-year hiatus like that and solely like focused on the business. And that's kind of where the tides are turning to. It seems like, now it's like it used to be college, 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 and now I see a lot of people turning on that idea. So depending on what you want to do.
Plus, it's so expensive. I mean,
Oh, it is now. Yeah.
there's the opportunity cost of time, but it's also quite a bit of money.
Right.
Not that at Titan Talks we discourage people from going to college, but
All right. No, me either. It all depends what you want to do. Certain things you have to go. Yeah.
what's been the most surprising thing about being an owner in the home services industry?
Probably all the back end expense that does come with it. You don't realize what it actually costs. And I think that's a lot of customers, when you give them a price, they don't realize, all these back end expenses. It's, just maintenance on equipment, all that has to get taken care of, the insurance, your taxes, just small stuff, just down to hand tools. You break a shovels now are $40-$50 a pop. It's like, just all that stuff. And, probably I would say like how hard it is to grow, like depending on your area and how much competition is around you. It's almost, I wouldn't call it like a bloodbath, but it's, fight to the finish. How do you make yourself stand out next to the other guy and land the job before he gets it, or, go in competition with him. So I think that's, the biggest shock is kind of how quick a customer can doof you off, no matter how good of a salesman you are. A lot of it does come down to price, unfortunately. So, that's definitely been surprising. You present yourself well and yep, they get a $5 cheaper price, they're going with it. So,
And I know you're still in the early days here of Hennessey's Landscaping, but so far, what's been your proudest moment?
proudest moment. Let's see. Proudest moment would probably be when I purchased the truck I'm in now by myself without a co-signer. I think that was like a big deal. It wasn't brand new. It was 2019. I bought it 2 years ago now. And yeah, to go out and do that by myself, I think that was probably, a big moment for me. Cause, in the past, it's like, whether asking parents for money or, being scared to do it. And I think, I took the leap and glad I did. So, and that, once you open business credit too, it opens the doors for a lot of stuff. I know the debate between buy cash or finance. I got my own idea on that, but
What did you do?
with this truck,
Yeah.
this was financed. I put a good bit down on it. And then even like when I bought one of my trailers, I put like $5,000 down. And now with what I know, I don't think I would have put the 5,000 down. I would much rather would have had that cash in my pocket, I think, because I was coming right into the season too. And I feel like that's one of the most expensive times, getting everything ready, fixing stuff that broke from last year. And so, yeah, I don't know. I like keeping cash on hand now. So use the bank's money. I feel, not with everything. I do like paying cash for stuff, but
Yep.
You got to have money, like, you got to have money in the bank for operating expenses. So
You never know what may come up. That's right.
right. Yep.
Well, Joe, congratulations on all of your success so far. 2 trucks, 3 employees. Spring is, well, it's early March, so we're not quite there, but spring is
almost.
Spring is almost here.
Yep.
Best of luck as you enter this new season, and we're excited to be partnered with you here at Top Line Pro. Thanks so much for being a part of Titan Talks.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was a great time.